The U20 athletes are going to start on the inside. That is Olivia Downey from Durham Dragons Athletics. She'll have hip 1. Eve Wallette from Excel Athletica will have hip 2. And Emma Morrow from the Brockville Legion will have hip 3. There is the start list for the seniors. Featherstone will wear hip 4. Emily Brown, competing unattached out of Ontario, will have hip 5. Sophie Corville from St. Laurent Select will be wearing hip 6. Sabrina Levine from CAUL will have hip 7. And Marine Garnier will have hip 8. There is Olivia Downey. She was the Canadian U16 cross-country champion in the fall. Eve Wallette from Excel Athletica. Emma Morrow from the Brockville Legion. She was 11th in the U20 5,000 meters at last year's championship. And there is the bronze medalist from a year ago, Grace Featherstone. 9:28.42, that PB for her coming recently. Emily Brown, unattached out of Ontario. 10:18.22 seed for Brown. Sophie Corville, St. Laurent Select. 10:22.26 seed for her. Sabrina Levine from CAUL. 10:22.26 her seed time. And Marine Garnier, another member of the St. Laurent Select team. 10:33.55 is what she enters this competition with.
So it's 2 competitions in 1. As you mentioned, Adam, our younger athletes on the inside and the senior athletes on the outside. And unsurprisingly, right to the lead is Grace Featherstone. She's had so much success, as I said, this year, but also throughout her career. And interestingly, these athletes starting on the home stretch and going right into the first barrier. And that is a kind of a big ask. In some ways, you get it out of the way right away, but this is an outside water barrier. And so for the 3,000, it's that open start into the first barrier. They've cleared the second. But Featherstone, a 7-time All-American for Oregon State University. She's been a member of Team Canada a few times, competed at the World Championships, World Athletics Championships in 2022 in Oregon. Neat opportunity for her as an Oregon State athlete.
She'll also be a part of Team Canada at the upcoming NACAC Championships.
That's taking place in the Bahamas. Pretty nice place to contest a championship, although you'd hope that the weather is going to be cool enough for these longer distance runners. So there's some separation after that first water barrier. It is Featherstone and Brown. Now, Brown, the only other athlete who was in this event last year at the senior level. She was 8th in this race last year. Featherstone, as we mentioned, the bronze medalist from 2024. And I talked about her consistency, Adam. This year, she ran a personal best, it was just 2 weeks ago, of 9:28.42. Well, she's also run 9:31, 9:32, and 9:34 this season. And that's where you sometimes in these relative distance events see a bit of a plateau before a big takeoff. So to get under that 9:30 mark is a big deal for Featherstone. And she's looking full of confidence here, looking to get herself atop the podium after that 3rd place finish last year. Of course, Canadian women's steeplechasing on the men's side as well, but of late, the women's side really impressive. Kaylee McCabe won that race last year. Regan Yee, we're going to see her tonight. She's a decorated athlete, Olympian in this event. She's moving up to the 5,000 meter. But as we sort of expected, Featherstone really just in a class of her own and having to run by herself, taking on these barriers.
It looks like it's Emma Moreau leading the U20 race. 5 laps left to go for our leaders in the open race.
Emma Morrow was a silver medalist in the 2,000-meter steeplechase at the OFSA Championships earlier this year in June. Again, this is a step up, literally and figuratively, by 1,000 meters to the 3,000-meter steeplechase. But Morrow really strong across multiple distances. She enjoys the 800, 1,500, 5,000 as well. So she's a well-rounded and diverse athlete.
And this 3,000-meter steeplechase final presented by Ottawa Print Services.
Talked about the success of the 3,000-meter steeplechasers of late on the women's side as Grace Featherstone continues her pursuit. Her best of 9:28.42 from, again, just about 3 weeks ago is the 4th fastest time in Canadian history, and we've seen that record book rewritten time and time again. I trained quite a long time with Jessica Furlan, who was a fantastic steeplechaser in sort of the mid-aughts. She's a 9:33 best, but 5 Canadian women have eclipsed the 9:30 barrier. They are Alicia Butterworth. This woman right in front of you, Featherstone sits 4th. Regan Yee, who again we'll see on track in the 5,000 later tonight. Jen Lalonde, who was the long-standing sort of queen of the steeplechase in Canada, set a Canadian record at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. That's since been eclipsed by Kaylee McCabe, who now sits atop the record boards at 9:20.58. And that 9:20 mark, that is something that these women have been gunning for. And keep your eye on Featherstone over the next few years, because as she moves her way towards those LA Olympics 3 years away, I would expect to see some really fast times from this performer. Little stutter step there over that barrier. But again, she's running completely solo. Good battle on behind her, and each of those competitors in both the senior and U20 category making good work of the water barrier, not getting their feet too wet and staying on their feet, which of course is the most important part of this.
It's Emily Brown still holding down 2nd place. She is followed by Sophie Corville. Under 3 laps left to go now for the leader, Featherstone. And her lead is almost 20 seconds.
And she has, I've used this word before, but been absolutely metronomic in her splits. 121.7, 122.2, 122.4. And again, that is for more than 400 meters because of that outside water barrier. You can see the grimace on her face now. She's working really hard into what I've called the meat of this race, really the bulk of it, where you have to balance the fatigue of what you've already put in with the focus of I've still got a ways to go. And how do I will myself to keep rolling at this pace, especially all alone? This is such a tough spot to be. But I would imagine for an athlete like Featherstone, how she's using this as a real opportunity just to dial in, work on the technique, work on having to run solo. Because again, as you mentioned, Adam, she is headed to the Bahamas in short order for those NACAC championships.
It's a back and forth battle right now for 2nd place between Corville and Brown. Coming out of that water jump, Corville with the ever so slight advantage. Featherstone lapping one of the U20 athletes. You talked about the consistency of Featherstone. Well, that is on full display here in this final. We've seen laps of 81 seconds, 82 seconds, 82 seconds, and 83 seconds.
She's been keeping her turnover really dynamic. I'm impressed by her ability to dial in and just stay so consistent, yes, but that turnover not fading in the least. She's stutter stepping a bit over the barriers, but again, when you're doing it by yourself and keeping that pacing as close and consistent as she is, we'll forgive you for a couple stutter steps. She's getting over the barriers really well. A bit of a splash there on left of screen.
It was Eve Wallette in the U20 race. And Featherstone is going to hear the bell. 1 lap left to go for her. And that last lap, 81 seconds.
As we mentioned, she is headed to Freeport, Bahamas on August 15th, or just ahead of there, for the NACAC Championships, and certainly looking to get herself on another World Championship team as well. And this has been a really fantastic solo effort by Featherstone. She is going to be, barring disaster, and I almost hate to say it, the national champion in 2025 after that bronze medal last year. She's only 24 years old and lots of ability left in this youngster.
And she's on track right now to win this final by about 30 seconds. The final straightaway now, Grace Featherstone from the Royal City Track and Field Club. She was the bronze medalist in Montreal a year ago, and she is going to move all the way to the top of the podium here in 2025. She is the national champion, and she comes through in 9:41.05.
What a great time. Finishing time for Grace. That is just stellar to win a championship by yourself, and it was her only lap, her last lap, under 80 seconds, 1:19.69. The fireworks continue to blaze there for Emily Brown as she makes her way across. Again, Emily Brown last year 8th in this race. 10:18 her best coming in, and she just ran 10:13.29. Well, that is a 4.5 second bettering on her lifetime best, so well done by Brown. And then it's Sophie Courville of Saint Laurent Select coming across the line for third in 10:18.43. Another improvement on her seed time coming in by about 4 seconds. She came in at 10:22.26. So this has been exciting running, taking advantage of great conditions by each of these athletes.
And here comes Morrow across the line to win the U20 Canadian title. And the silver is going to go to Olivia Downey. So Morrow wins it in 10:56.19. Just switching our attention back to the senior race for a moment, Kate. A good performance here is going to really help out Featherstone, She's currently in the world rankings quota, which means she is eligible for selection to the World Championship team. And these national championships are rich in points, so she's going to help her cause with the victory here tonight. And here comes Eve Wallette, and she is going to round out the podium in the U20 women's 3,000 meter steeplechase. She comes through at about 12:15 for that bronze medal. Featherstone has the flag in hand.